my Portrait of the Dead essay. It's called Cigarette Smoke and Baseball Hats. Crack! The bat flew out of his hands onto the cobbled dirt behind him. His left leg took off before his right as he sped towards first base. His eyes shot back and forth as a baseball transferred gloves. He let out a long, hot breath. He was safe. As the next player came to bat, his head turned around and gazed the crowd. His bright blue eyes crinkled at the sides as a wide smile crawled onto his face. His daughters came to watch. He knew his amazing wife was watching their son Joey. Before he knew it, the ball was hit and home base was the target. The baseball field in all its glory was his escape. Dust clouded his eyes and filled his nose. George's pants were stained with brown mud and ripped up the sides. Sweat glistened on his face, and he brought his forearm to wipe away the newly dripping drops. He smiled as he saw his youngest daughter running toward him, her long, black curled hair bouncing off her shoulders. "Georgie girl," he called, picking up the little girl. "You did great, Daddy." He kissed her on the cheek as he bent down to hug his oldest child. "Where's Mom?" he asked. "Joey was being bad again. He locked us out of the house, so she's waiting outside," Joey said, looking at the ground. "Well, we better figure out how to get back in. Joey can't be alone." They both shook their head yes and grabbed onto his hands. George prepared him and the girls for the worst that could be coming. Joey stood taller than anyone else in the family. His broad shoulders and protruding stomach made anyone who passed take a second glance. No one would think, though, that the majority of his brain was mush. Joey knew the things he did. He knew what got under his mother and I's skin, what exactly pushed our buttons. Locking us out of the house, of course, was his favorite. What was scary, though, is you never knew when his entire mood could change. It takes 1 second from him to smile to the next time you blink. His fist was flying towards your face. In November of 1935, George Lance became number 18 of his mother's children. George was a twin, but sadly, his twin died at birth. Papa grew up in an orphanage in Parma, Ohio. He was raised by the oldest of the 18, Grace. Now Grace is the only one of the 18 still alive, and has no plan on going anywhere. Papa and his brother Bob were quite the mischievous pair. They always found some way to get themselves into trouble. In his 8th grade year, George had to quit school to start working. He was 13 years old. He worked in all kinds of different jobs, and it surely showed throughout his life. One thing Papa loved to do, though, was fish. He would sit along the bank for hours on end, catching fish after fish, and smoking cigarette after cigarette. One day he was walking down the street and decided to go into the 5 and dime store. There, he saw his entire future standing behind the counter. He was entrapped by her classic beauty and her long dark hair. Grammy and Papa met when she was only 16, Papa at 18. This time, my grandmother was already planning to have her marriage arranged to an awkward man named Bernie. Papa was a charmer. He flashed his perfect smile, and his baby blue eyes stood out amongst everything. He was a tall, lanky man, but incredibly handsome. Papa and Grammy married soon after she turned 18. My Papa convincing her father that she was happy, that the arranged marriage could be called off. Their love was the type of love that only people can dream about. He looks at her as if everything he had ever wanted sat right in front of him. Everything he loved and admired was contained just in her being. The loving couple had 3 children, Jo Marie, Joey, and Georgianne. Joey was born mentally handicapped. The doctors had no idea what had caused it. The question, what do we expect, couldn't be answered. Joey had seizure after seizure, and they never had a cause. They just happened. Grammy's life became consumed by taking care of her son. Every time something happened, she ran to the hospital carrying the young boy in her arms, dragging the eldest girl behind her. When Georgianne was born, Joey was now 7 years old. As the children grew up, every summer had a road trip to Montana. The Volvo station wagon sat packed, ready to go in the driveway. While halfway there, a stop at the gas station was mandatory. Everyone rushed out to go to the bathroom, and Papa stayed with the car filling the truck. Soon, the family packed back into the car and headed back on the road. About 20 minutes in, George looks back at the kids. "Where's Georgie girl?" he asked. They looked around, and no one could find the tiny little George spun the car around and the kid slipped and slid across the street. We must have left her at the gas station. Oh no, she has to be so scared, Joanna yelled. Pulling into the gas station, George and Maureen got out to look for Georgianne. Joanna got out of the car to get Joey something to drink and to make sure everything was all right. There, under the folded down seat, tucked in a square, arm between a leg and a small head under the other arm. George, I found her, Joanna yelled. She picked up her sleeping daughter from under the seat and sat her back up. She's so small, she just slipped right under, George said, laughing. He took off his baseball hat and slipped it on to his sleeping daughter's head. Papa always sat in the old, worn-out pink rocking chair. The footrest always pulled out, and his chin rested in the crook of his neck, with his eyes closed and slight snores coming out of his mouth. The empty cup of Donutland black coffee sat on the small table to his right, half a French cruller laid on the ground beside the chair. Papa was known for his compassion and the comfort he provided for others. His faith was the most important thing in his life. God came first, and that's all that matters. A cross was found in every room in his house, and his house was empty every Sunday morning. Every day at 3 o'clock, he sat in the back bedroom and prayed the rosary. Papa was there for everyone, but didn't realize he wasn't there for his family as much as they needed him. Dear Papa, the memory I hold of you is when I was just a month over 1 year old. I was sitting on your hospital bed as you played with me. I remember you being hooked up to different machines, and there was a constant beeping. Grammy sat in the chair next to Mom, and next to Mom sat my father and Joey. Jo Marie sat in the extra chair placed in the corner of the room. We were unaware of the reason you were sick. We just knew it would end your life. The doctor came into the room and proceeded to say that you were going to die very soon. You did not have a reaction. You just kept playing with me. I feel like I know you, and that I was there in certain moments. Sometimes it is like you are still alive. Grammy constantly talks about you and tells stories I have never heard. I hear stories about how many good things you did and the services you provided for people. I still am told how amazing you were and how much you are missed. I look at pictures of you and Grammy together, and I sit and wish that I will find a love like you two had. You look at her like she was your everything. Nothing in that moment mattered but her. Ma, Georgianne, blames you for the relationships she has had in her life. She always had to compete for your attention, and now is doing the same with my dad. I know you are sitting up there and probably shaking your head. Is Shakespeare with you? Is he okay? It's so weird that he isn't there every morning when I wake up. Stitch still looks for him and sits in his spot by the stairs. Please take care of him. Take care of Grammy and Joey, who need the most help. I always wonder how my life would be if I had a grandpa who actually wanted me in his life. A grandpa that loves me. A grandpa that adores me. A grandpa that I consider better than my father. I miss you and your warmth. I miss your Old Spice cologne and the tightness of your hugs. I miss the feeling of being wanted. I miss you. I hope you are happy, and I know you are happy with where you are. Love always, Becca. My papa died without the fear of death. He took care of everyone else, even in his final moments. He knew he was loved, and he never lost his faith. God stood there and welcomed him with open arms. The memorial service was held in the Catholic Church. Every seat was filled with people who adored Papa, and tears flooded the pews. My grandfather was loved and remembered by everyone he came into contact with. His battle with overtaking cancer finally ended, and he was with the person he loved and admired the most. My grandfather was cremated and placed in the corner of my Grammy's bedroom, awaiting his beloved wife's days to come join him and to be let loose in the mountains of Montana. The house my grandfather lived in is still inhabited by Grammy. The house no longer has the faint smell of cigarette smoke and the loud sound of baseball playing on the TV. My grandma sits in the same spot my papa did every day and watches TV, reads, and sleeps for hours on end. On holidays, the house is filled, but there is always a person missing. The truck no longer sits outside, and the trees are free to let their branches grow, for they are no longer afraid of the chainsaw-happy old man.